Now, the past few years, we have seen a great rise with the Overseas collection from Vacheron Constantin. And a big reason for this partially was, I think, the ascension of some other high-horology peers with these integrated steel sports style watches also rising in the ranks, and it caused many people to wise up on what exactly is available with the Overseas collection. Now, the chronograph collection within the Overseas is another one that's often overlooked, but today we're looking at a brand new configuration within that collection with this new Panda dial version. Today, we jump in and take a closer look. Let's get into it. Now, before we jump into this video looking at this Vacheron Panda Overseas, we also have a link in the description down below to some of the best chronographs in 2023 to choose from. Over 30 chronographs in that list. It's updated with new 2023 models. So if you're in the market for a chronograph, I would strongly recommend taking a look. Variety of different price ranges as well. So if something like this is maybe not in your price range, we'll have some other great alternatives you can take a look at in the market. Check out that article down below on teddybaldassarre.com. Now, simply put, Vacheron has a level of history that is hard to match even from its Swiss Holy Trinity peers, as the brand has been in constant, uninterrupted operation since 1755. With century-tested capabilities and exceptional high watchmaking, a dense archive, and a passionate collector base, at times it becomes hard to rationalize why VC doesn't get even more flowers compared to other select brands residing within the pantheon of watchmaking. Yet if there was an example from the brand that did issue a wake-up call for those that were not as savvy to the brand's position, it probably had to be the Overseas. Now, the Overseas traces its lineage back to a beloved reference from 1977 known as the 222, a watch that was the brand's own answer to the emerging integrated sports trend led by Genta designs of the era. After nearly 2 decades of the 222, Vacheron decided to redirect course with a model family known as the Overseas. Over the course of its 27 years on the market, the Overseas has undergone a few facelifts, with it now residing within its 3rd generation, expanding to include numerous case sizes and materials, limited editions, and numerous complications, with the first Overseas chronograph coming back in 1999, and with this latest version here coming with a Panda dial configuration with an in-house caliber on the inside. To begin with this Overseas chrono, let's discuss the case, bracelet, and fit. Starting with the latter of those 3 points, we have a 42.5 millimeter diameter, a 13.7 millimeter thickness, and a 50.5 millimeter lug to lug. Wearing larger when paired with its bracelet, given how the integrated end links meet the case, but it does wear much smaller when you pair it with the strap. Now, if you've ever had the opportunity to try on the 3-hand Overseas Gen 3, you will notice a bump in presence with this. But considering there's an automatic chronograph caliber contained within, I would assume the majority that would be willing to pull off the wear of that 3-hand model would not have any qualms with wearability in this instance. But in totality, this is not a small watch. I would say it wears relatively true to size on strap, but larger on the bracelet. One of the crowning achievements of this piece is its case, and of course bracelet, as they are utterly superb. The case is in no short supply of facets and angles, which in turn allows the piece to demonstrate its status of being among the best in class. It pairs vertical brushing across the case top, being separated from the polishing along its sides with a slender polished bevel. At 3, a signed screw-down crown is surrounded by a pair of screw-down pushers, enabling this watch's more than adequate 150 meters of water resistance. Resting atop the case, we have one of the central design aspects that is a sloping polished bezel playing on the Maltese cross motif. The bracelet is the crown jewel of finishing on this case, as it features individually finished links, again following that Maltese cross design. Each link has a brushed anterior with polished facets on the interior integration and have a mirroring polished edge to each one of them. Big reason for why this bracelet is excellent really comes down to the fact that each individual link is going to be finished. And in addition to that, features its own screw on every possible link, a rarely offered feature making sizing much easier compared to other brands. In addition, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the interchangeable strap and bracelet system, as the rubber strap available with this piece is also nice in its hardware and allows the user to simply push down on the tab on the back to remove for easy swapping. Now, despite the welcome inclusion of the Panda dial, this general layout follows the form of previous standards set by the Overseas Chronograph collection, At the outskirts, there's a raised second scale in black that sets a contrasting perimeter to the central silver galvanized sunray dial, while assisting the user in easily identifying the running seconds of the chronograph. Just inside is a printed minute track with raised polished hour indices that contains superluminova. At 4 is a framed date window and a traditional 3-hand stack at center with loom-filled hour and a long arrow-pointed chronograph second hand. The horizontal layout of the sunken registers are in black with a running 60 seconds at 9, a 12-hour timer at 6, and a 30-minute register at 3, with the latter two being controlled by the chronograph functions enabled by way of the 5200 caliber on the inside. Now, located beneath the safety of the sapphire exhibition caseback, you have the 5200 caliber. Now, this was released in 2016 after a 5-year development process for the brand, serving as the first fully in-house chronograph caliber to accompany the Overseas Chronograph. At its core, the 5200 is composed of 263 components and is a column wheel operated caliber with a vertical clutch. Although not as visually entrancing as a horizontal clutch seen in something like the Corne de Vache, it is probably the more befitting option for a sports chronograph, as the vertical clutch in theory helps a more direct start of the chronograph seconds hand, and given the lack of meshing teeth of the drive wheel with the chronograph center wheel utilizing a horizontal clutch, there is less continuous wear when the chronograph is engaged. The movement decoration is well done while also fulfilling the stringent requirements for obtaining a Geneva seal. The oscillating weight is in 22 karat gold and showcases several surface finishes, and with its mass will ensure optimal rotation when strapping the watch on. Geneva waves are across the central chronograph bridges and on the balance bridge, with anglage across the curvaceous edges and black polished screw heads and polished sinks. Although much of the chronograph components are covered, the column wheel is easily identified by way of its black polished Maltese cross at center. The 5200 is tested across 5 different positions at the factory and beats away at 4 Hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour with a power reserve of 52 hours, making it perhaps as no nonsense as you will come by in the world of high horology chronographs. So now to unpack looking at this Overseas Chronograph Panda. I have been a long advocate of the Overseas collection. It was just weird for me as someone who has just delved into the history of Vacheron to just see what's going on with the Nautilus as well as the Royal Oak and just be like, all right, well, why isn't there enough appreciation here? And I think people were wising up to that in the last few years. You saw the kind of ascension of some of the 3-hand Overseas models, and I think for good reason. These watches for a long time were underrated, but now I think they get their flowers much more than they did in the past. I think one challenge with the Overseas is just going to generally be size. It is a thicker watch, but not too thick. I mean, this is not going to be to an extent where it's just like too thick, because there are watches in the luxury tier that are much thicker than this from a chronograph perspective, but it's also larger when you pair it with the bracelet. I would say it wears at least a millimeter larger than the proposed size, and it is a heavier watch when you have it on that very significant bracelet. The swap system is fantastic when it works, and it does work unless you have really short fingernails. That's my only challenge sometimes, is I am not able to fully get it out, and it does require a little bit of effort, but very solid system. I would say one of the best on the market in general. Of course, this is an expensive watch, but then you just take a moment and think about it. Yes, this is a watch over $30,000, but then you look at the general landscape of what is available to you. A 3-hand Nautilus, not a chronograph, with an in-house chronograph movement is basically the same price. At least that's where they're starting at. You're also factoring in something like the Patek Calatrava. The 6119 is basically maybe $3,000 to $5,000 less than this. Sure, that is a precious metal watch, but in this case, you're also getting a chronograph. So it's a weird conversation to have if you just look across the market. Or if you even look within Vacheron itself, something like the 1921, a watch that I absolutely love, but that retails above what you're getting here for a sure steel, but in-house high horology chronograph movement. And I don't even want to mention anymore, but you look at the trading prices of the Daytona, and many people like that Panda style design of the latest generation. Here you have that here in a watch that from a fit and finish standpoint just far exceeds it. This is one of those models within the Overseas collection you can see people probably wising up to very soon and recognizing that, hey, if I can get this at retail pricing, this is a really fantastic deal. It's just understated class, and I think the Overseas walks that fine line of the general ethos of Vacheron while still delivering a package where you're not cutting any corners. But all right, guys, that is my take looking at this Vacheron Constantin Overseas Chronograph Panda. What do you think of this watch? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Leave some comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that. It does help out the content. Definitely check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.